Good evening, sir. Welcome to Research Cell, Dayanand Sagar University. We have with us,
Evening.
advantage of our viewers, we have with us today Dr. Atish Chattopadhyay, Director IFM Business School and the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Vijay Bhumi University, who is going to be with us for some time and help clarify the new education policy 2020 as it stands for all the stakeholders. So welcome, sir, and I am very, very thankful that you have given us the time today to share your perspective as one of the very innovative and thought leaders in the education space. And from you, when we hear, I think we get more clarity on the new policy that we are all talking about. So welcome again, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. So first of all, great pleasure being here. And I think the new education policy, which is coming after, almost 34 years, last one happened in 1986. I think that's something which is, very contextual, given the fact that the requirement post I would say the technology revolution that has happened, the kind of aspirations that has changed, the education policy needs to keep pace with the changes that is happening in the environment. I think the new education policy is a big step in that direction. I will like to give you a short overview as to what it is about, covering two aspects. First, the higher education, and next the school education. I think as far as the higher education is concerned, the most important aspect is the rigidity which exists in the present system. The new education policy tries to make the system far more flexible and far more student friendly. Okay, which means that for a student, it is now possible to take courses across disciplines, which is basically multidisciplinary, approach in education, which is a big change. It also talks about holistic development, and instead of making functional specialists. So to put it in a very simple language, in India, we find when a student takes admission in a college, they are attached to a stream. So they are either in the engineering or in business or in science, like that. So there is very little possibility of somebody to actually discover. Now, the whole issue of exploration, experimentation needs to be facilitated. The way I read the policy is that the policy allows the student to experiment and explore across disciplines. So you can take music and performing arts, maybe with science and engineering, and so combine maybe humanities. So it's a broad spectrum. And if we are talking about future, we are talking about a generation which is going to live for 100 years, which means people would like to probably work till around the age of 80, those who are today in college, which also means there will be multiple careers. And if one has to get into multiple careers at the college level, one needs exposure across disciplines to understand what they're good at. And number two, it is the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn, which is very important. And a multidisciplinary approach to education makes that feasible. So I think the first change which the education policy talks about is holistic and multidisciplinary approach towards education. This is a welcome step. That is number one. Number two, multiple entry and exit. I think that is a very important step which has been announced in the education policy, which means, one need not get into a college and continue for full 3 or 4 years. If as a student, if somebody wants to be, say, a coder, okay, I'm just taking an example, or a software developer, I can just do 1 year program in software development, come out with a certificate, get into a job. I can come back after 2 years, do 1 more year, get out with a diploma. Okay, And if I want to come back again, I can again complete another 1 year and get a graduation. I think this is a very welcome step which creates, entry into a college, having education, going back to work, coming back. So it creates a lot of flexibility. And it also can create an apprenticeship approach towards education, okay, which is something, another very welcome step. And a continuation of this, if we have to look at it, when we are talking about multiple entry and exit, it need not be in one single institution, the way I read the policy, because it talks about the transfer of credit and academic bank for credits, which means I can accumulate credit in an institution in, say in Bangalore, in AA college, I can go to Delhi for work. I've got a 1 year certificate. I can take another 1 year over there, come back to Bombay for the third job. That is feasible. Today, today's generation is a mobile generation. And this education policy also facilitates that mobility, both multiple entry and exit, and also an opportunity to study across institutions at various types. So I may be somebody who want to do, maybe fine arts in Shantiniketan, maybe engineering in an IIT, and maybe, sociology in JNU. Why it cannot be possible? I think the new education policy, probably the intention is to make that feasible for a student. Okay. So the whole, the concept of academic bank for credits and multiple entry and exit is another very important step, I would say, which can revolutionize education. Number 3, the whole issue of colleges becoming autonomous degree granting institutions, and there is a time frame of around 15 years. Today, there is a huge number of colleges which are now affiliated to a large, university. For example, Delhi University or a Bombay University or a Kolkata University. Now, what happens now is that colleges becomes independent, autonomous degree granting institution and phasing out of the affiliation system. I think that's a very big step. So each college can become autonomous institutions by itself. And corollary to this, the policy talks about graded autonomy. It talks about all 3 aspects of autonomy, which is academic, administrative, as well as financial. Also the fact that we are talking about a student taking courses across different types of institutions. Just now I talked about someone doing fine arts in Shantiniketan and technology in IIT and maybe sociology in JNU. Okay, so it becomes imperative that the regulation also facilitates this, and the policy talks about a single regulator. So we don't have a UGC separate or a AICTE separate like that. So it's a single regulator for higher education institutions. The other very important thing is that, common norms for both public and private higher education institutions, which means there is no differentiation between private and public higher education institutions, and if you look at the international scenario, universities like Stanford, etc., are nothing but private universities. Here, I think this differentiation between private and public through this policy is going to be done away with, and the investment in education is stated to be 6% of the GDP. I think these are all welcome steps as far as higher education is concerned. I'm very bullish about this.
Okay, sir. Actually, the next big question, which is on everybody's whenever such a nice policy is done, is what do you think would be the execution timelines, the possible challenges, opportunities? What can people look forward to, all stakeholders basically?
See, there are 2 types of institutions currently in India. One are the legacy institutions, okay, which has got a legacy of more than 100 years, okay, and which has got a large number of colleges affiliated to them. Take, for example, a Calcutta University or a Bombay University. Okay, that is number one. So